of Allah. They have no understanding and will not be guided to worship Allah without your help. Oh no! Prophet Sulaiman and Prophet Dawud had encountered people who worshipped idols before. But worshipping the sun itself? Now that was new. It grieved the Prophet of Allah to learn of such a kingdom with people he had not known about. His call to Allah had not been able to reach these people, so they still worshiped the sun. However, Prophet Sulaiman was determined to save them and help them see the truth behind worshiping Allah. So he decided to write a letter to the idol-worshipping queen, calling her to Islam and submission, before he advanced with his powerful armies to conquer her land. The letter was eloquent, very nicely written, and he called on her to enter Islam and submit to Allah. The letter, which was polite but firm, expressed his prophetic humility as well as kingly honor. The Queen of Sheba was intelligent and not given to hasty judgments. She had great experience with dealing with men and kings, and she knew the history of conquerors. However, her intellect had deceived her, as she had always failed to recognize Allah's power and worship him. The Queen of Sheba told her most intelligent counselors that she had received a letter, different from all letters she had ever received. It was quite peculiar. It was from the greatest king of that time, who was a prophet, calling people to worship Allah. She asked for their advice. She did not know what to do. The leaders in her kingdom began to fuss and flaunt their strength and their size of their armies. That is what companions of kings and rulers do every time there's a threat. They were supportive of the queen, but she knew that was a bad idea. Why would you ever want to upset the strongest ruler of the land? But worse yet, why would you ever want to upset Allah? They had no idea. The queen did not agree with what they were saying, so they left the decision to her. She did not want any trouble for her kingdom. She warned them about coming to a bad end. She reminded her counselors that victorious kings ransack nations, and they have conquered and humiliate even the noblest of people. She did not want that to come to her or her people. So she told her counselors, I will send him some splendid gifts in order to test him. If he accepts my gifts, then he is a king and he will fight against him. If he does not accept them, then he is a prophet and we will follow him. He will be a humble man. So, just as she said, she sent a delegation with gifts of great value for Sulaiman, the ruler, the king. When the gifts reached Sulaiman, he refused to accept them. Are you trying to use wealth to bargain with me so that I should leave you whole to your kingdom and your people to worship the idols and the sun? The kingdom, the properties, and the armies that Allah has given me are far better than those that you have or anything that you can offer or bribe me. This is no light matter, but a serious and sincere call to a true religion. It is a case of being summoned and of submitting and not to be haggled over. He sent the delegation back and declared that he would march against their kingdom. When the delegation returned to the kingdom of Sheba and gave the queen Sulaiman's message, she and her people decided that they would obey. They knew that they were safer listening to him than having war come to their lands. In submission, she set out to meet Sulaiman with her armies. When Sulaiman learned of this decision, he was pleased and he praised Allah. He wanted to show her a sign to illustrate the real power of Allah and his blessings to Sulaiman. He wanted to show her that she too can be blessed far more than she had ever been before. So he decided to present her with her own throne, which was guarded by her own strong, trustworthy men. What kind of a gift is that? Giving her her own throne? He asked his council to bring her throne to him before the queen's great entourage arrived. The throne was brought miraculously to Sulaiman in the shortest possible time. Then Sulaiman commanded some of the finer details of the throne to be altered so that he could test whether the queen would recognize it when she saw it. She would have to believe him when she realized that her own throne traveled all that way without her even knowing, in the blink of an eye. Sulaiman commanded his builders, both jinn and men, to build a great pavilion with water flowing under a glass floor. Anyone who did not know about the glass would have thought that they were stepping into the water. The queen would surely assume that it was water and raise the hem of her dress above the water to cross. And her mistake would be clear. She would then realize Sulaiman's power and how he tricked her. She and her people were bowing to the sun because it was the clearest source of light and life. But these are but only two of Allah's many attributes. Sulaiman wanted the Queen of Sheba to realize that things are not always as they seem, and they are also bigger than we expect. We are mere mortals sometimes, and we can't believe what we don't see. Allah is the unseen, but Allah is all around us, with the bounties of His mercy surrounding us. The trees, the sun, the water, the air. These are all from Allah, boys and girls. She needed to realize that. Just as she had made a big mistake in assuming the glass to be water, she would also realize that she had been mistaken to treat the sun as the creator, bowing down to it and worshiping it. Allah is above the sun in power and greatness. Allah alone should be worshipped. Just as expected, all of that did indeed happen. Alhamdulillah. The queen was fooled with the water below the glass, in spite of her cleverness. She thought that the glass was flowing, glistening water. She raised the hem of her dress above what she thought was the water. Then the Prophet of Allah, Sulaiman, informed her of her mistake, saying, "This is a pavilion that my men have built, paved with crystals." She was humbled when she realized her error and her ignorance in taking an outward appearance at face value by worshiping the sun and prostrating before it. She was quick to exclaim, "My Lord, Ya Allah, I have wronged myself. I surrender with Sulaiman to please you, Allah, the Lord of all being." She was grateful to see the truth, even of her throne, and accepted Allah without further question. You see, boys and girls, when we receive a sign from Allah, we should never ever question it, no matter if it is good or if it is bad. Allah alone knows what's best for us, and He wants what's best for us. Accepting Allah's virtue is the key to getting into Jannah, and we all want to go to Jannah, don't we, boys and girls? What a fun story. Have you ever been tricked, boys and girls? Perhaps from an older brother or a tricky cousin. Sometimes playing tricks on people can be fun. But remember that it's never good to hurt anyone, okay? Prophet Sulaiman tricked the Queen of Sheba, not to hurt her or upset her, but to teach her a valuable lesson and show her the beauty of Allah, the true power of Allah, to show her that she needed to open her eyes and see the sun, while great and powerful and might bring life to the earth, was not the true source of life. Allah is the source and the true power of life, and He alone should be worshipped. Never forget that, boys and girls. When you believe in Allah, He could bless you not only with life, but with much more. Remember, Allah blessed Prophets Dawud and Sulaiman with the power to speak to the animals. I bet you'd like that. I know I would. Okay, well that's it for today, my dear viewers. But as always, I have a few questions and tasks to leave you with. Here goes. Number 1, as we mentioned earlier, the first thing to find out tonight is if you are named after a prophet or a Sahaba, or what your name means. For example, are any of you named Warda? Did you know that Warda means rose? Ah, mashallah, how lovely it would be to be named after a flower. Now, question number 2. Other than being blessed with the ability to speak to men and animals with great ease, what else was Prophet Dawud blessed with control over? And number 3, what about Prophet Sulaiman? What else was he blessed with? And lastly, how did Sulaiman trick the Queen of Sheba? And what made her finally realize that Allah is the real and only God to be worshipped? All right, boys and girls. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in for story time with me, Sofiyya. See you next time, inshallah, for more stories of our prophets. Assalamu alaikum.